Alright, hello everybody. Welcome to our lesson here. Today we're going to be talking about Fighting Begins. This is in our next unit on World War I. So our objectives and standards to describe fighting in the early years of World War I and to analyze weapons and lives of soldiers during World War I. Take a moment there to look over the standards, please. And our desired result, what was fighting like in the early stages of World War I? So think about the weapons, the technologies that we're going to discuss here, and kind of what soldiers are going through in terms of early fighting in World War I. So the start of war. So following the assassination, Kaiser William II of Germany promised to support Austria-Hungary if war came. Now, a harsh ultimatum was sent by Austria-Hungary to Serbia that demanded Serbia's full cooperation into the assassination. Now, when Serbia refused, Austria-Hungary declared war on them on July 28, 1914. Now, remember, back to learning about the alliance system, Russia quickly mobilized to support its ally Serbia and declared war on Austria. In return, Germany declared war on Russia. Following this, France declared war on Germany. And when neutral Belgium had war declared on it by Germany, because Germany wanted to invade it so they could invade France, Great Britain declared war on Germany. So you can see how the system of alliances has now drawn Europe into war. And that's a picture of Kaiser William II there at the bottom of your screen. So struggles and stalemate. Central powers were consisted, or I should say the Central Powers, consisted of the following countries: Austria-Hungary, Germany, Bulgaria, and the Ottoman Empire eventually. Now, the Allied powers eventually consisted of Great Britain, Serbia, France, Russia, and later the United States, Italy, and Japan. Now, German forces were pretty successful in the beginning of the war. They pushed through Belgium and into France towards Paris. And then in September of 1914, British and French forces stopped the German advances near the Marne River. Now, the First Battle of the Marne had both sides digging trenches and struggling for control of land. You can kind of see in this picture here kind of what trench warfare looked like. You would have, one side of soldiers on this side and then another side on this side. This middle part of the land here was known as no man's land because this is where a lot of people were killed or wounded, and there was just nothing could grow there. There was no trees. You can see all the mud and things like that. But you can kind of see, a little bit here about what trench warfare was like from that picture there. Now, eventually, trench warfare will spread across Europe and will lead to the deaths of millions. Now, the deadliest fighting was along what was known as the Western Front, and this was the border that was between France and Germany. So weapons and trench warfare. You're going to have an assignment later looking into weapons and technology a little more closer, but many believe that the war would have been short, but the fighting is going to drag on for years instead. Now, a major cause for the death and destruction were the new weapons and technologies. We have tanks, we have airplanes, machine guns, poison gas, and other deadly weapons that are going to cause the deaths of millions. My grandmother's uncle actually fought in World War I. One of them and some other family members as well, and he was actually a victim of poison gas. Now, he did survive it, but he did deal with the consequences of it for the rest of his life. But either way, poison gas does result in the deaths of people on both sides, on the Allies and on the Central Powers. And again, many of these weapons and technologies will also result in the deaths of millions as well. Now, soldiers also had to deal with the threats of trench warfare, such as trench foot, which was a disease that if they didn't change their boots because of all the rain and mud, it could get an infection in their foot and make them sick. They also had to deal with rats and spoiled food and other diseases as well. So this was not a fun way of fighting, obviously, as you can kind of tell, and did result in a lot of struggles and sorrow for many people during World War I. So fighting and casualties. Soldiers killed, wounded, or missing are considered casualties. Now, in the early months of the war, casualties actually grew quickly. Like I said earlier, Germany had a lot of success in the beginning, but that will quickly change. And by the end of the war, we'll see casualties in the millions, not just in terms of military casualties, but also victims, civilians, and things like that as well. And we'll be talking more about those numbers in detail later on. All right, so our closure. What was fighting like in the early stages of World War I? Think about how the alliance system got people involved. Think about the new weapons and technologies and the impact that that is having on people and on soldiers. Think about how trench warfare is impacting soldiers and others, and that'll help you answer your question. Hope you have a great rest of your day or night. Please let me know of any questions or concerns, and I hope to talk to you all soon. Take care, everybody. Have a good rest of your day or night.